Hey, it's Shana Meyerson with YOGAthletica in Los Angeles, California. If you've ever had problems getting your feet flat to the floor in Purvottanasana, I used to. I'm about to change your life. Wow. Okay, sit. So when we enter into Purvottanasana, typically we think that we're entering from Dandasana, right? Now in Dandasana, this is our typical setup for a forward bend. And how do we set up Dandasana? We move our sits bones backs to lengthen the backside of our legs to prepare us for a forward fold, right? Well, here's the breakdown in communication when most people are trying to get into Purvottanasana. Why? Because Purvottanasana is not a forward bend. In fact, it's exactly the opposite of a forward bend. A forward bend, and when we talk about our most common forward bend, Paschimottanasana, which means intense stretch of the western side, the back side of our bodies, we're trying to lengthen the whole back side of our body, right? Well, Purvottanasana is the opposite of Paschimottanasana. It's the intense stretch of the eastern side. So we're trying to lengthen the front of our bodies, not the back of our bodies. So if you set up from a Dandasana position, you're setting up the length of a forward bend, of a hip flexion. What we're trying to do is create depth for extension. So how do we do this? Well, when we moved our hips backwards and our heels forward, that lengthened the whole back side of our leg. And look what it did to my toes. I put them way up in the air, which means for them to get to the floor, they have to travel so far. Okay? Let's do the opposite. Release your sits bones, and instead of lengthening your heels out, pull your heels in as far as you can without bending your knees. Now look what happened. Look how close my feet are to the floor. I haven't even started the pose. Now, am I lengthening the back sides of my legs? No, I'm doing exactly the opposite. I'm contracting. And so as I pull my heels in, taking my hands facing forward with my fingertips about even with my butt, shoulders roll back and down. Make sure you've got nice opening in your upper chest. Braids are out of the way. And look how little my feet are going to have to travel as I lift my hips up, drop my head backwards, and this time my feet will go quite easily to the floor. Now, if you feel like when you're trying to get up into your Purvottanasana that your toes are cramping down to try to get to the floor, it means you're leading with your toes. We don't lead with our toes, folks. We actually lead with our hips. The feet follow. The feet should basically be neutral. So we know the first thing. Heels in brings my feet low to the floor, but how do I close this extra gap? If I know it's not by crunching my toes down, and again, if you're cramping, you're doing this one wrong. But actually it's about hips lifting up. The higher my hips lift, the lower my feet go. Think about it. If I have a straight line, if one goes up, the other goes down. One goes up, the other goes down. So the higher my hips go, the lower my feet go. So I set this one up, heels are in, hands are back, chest is open, and keeping my toes lengthening instead of looking for the floor, I just lift my hips as high as they'll go. Head drops back, and I've got a nice, easy, manageable, and sustainable, and yet intense stretch of the eastern side of my body. This is Shana Meyerson with YOGAthletica in Los Angeles, California. If you want to learn how to approach all your poses intelligently, think about coming to my teacher training. It's like this kind of aha moment for 200 straight hours. Have an awesome day. I'll hope to see you in LA. Ciao.